Hi, this is Joe Rabil with Rabil Stock Research with your Daily 5. On today's show, I want to discuss the SPY and really just use that to talk about the general market and why we really should have been questioning a big down move right now. I also want to give 4 different ideas from 4 different sectors that are showing really good, strong overall characteristics. So let's go ahead and get into this. We've got a lot to talk about. So in terms of the SPY, the one thing I wanted to discuss really when I look at it from a general market standpoint, and the reason why your bias should have been to the upside. I'm new on Twitter, and I just recently started looking at just different people's thoughts, and I can't believe how many times I have seen this trend line drawn with 4 arrows like this. And how people are saying this is easy, you know, it's going down. This is just an obvious short point. And whenever I see something like that, I mean, doing this 32 years, I know one thing. If everyone in the world is looking at one thing and it looks really obvious, then you have to sort of assume it's going to go the other way, at least first. So the market does the most obvious things in the most unobvious ways. And in this way, it might actually go up and then go down, meaning ultimately this trend line could be right, like we could be going down, but I think it had to go up first. When you have way too many people believing the same thing, you have to seriously question it. Now, I have a different reason for having an upward bias. And first of all, I gave credit to this pullback here. And I still am, actually, because we broke the uptrend line on the daily chart. Even though we were failing at this trend line and then we failed at this trend line, that is not an operative signal for me. My subscribers know this is not a setup based on what the MACD was doing. This is not a setup to short the trend line. We don't short the trend line on this pattern. We need more confirmation. We had it developing the way it was testing, and it really is testing this high. If it were to come back down to this low, then we'd have a completed reversal pattern, and it still could. I mean, it's very possible we could do that, but I really felt like we had to at least breach this trend line. Now, in the back of my mind, I've been thinking that we broke the 18-day here. That's this purple line here, and we started turning that up. And then in the target, once that happens, is the 18-week line. Well, we got up to there, and then we didn't turn down from there. We actually broke through that, and we've been using... Let's just take a quick peek at this. We've been using the 18-week as support for 3-4 weeks now, where it, instead of breaking back down below this line, it's kind of been acting as a support level. And now we're starting to move up. Now, typically, when I break 118 on one time frame, my target is the 18 on the next time frame. So I've been saying that the bias for me is a move back up to this 18-month line, which is up around 420 in the spider. In reality, for the S&P, it's up about testing this prior high, 4250-ish, something like that. So I'm still looking in that direction. Like, that's kind of been my underlying bias. But because we broke the trend line, we have to give this credit and make sure that if we form a reversal pattern and we come back down through this 18-week line, we have to respect it. Okay, that doesn't mean that's what your bias is, but you have to respect if the market makes a reversal pattern, you have to accept that. So I'm still thinking that we want to work our way back up towards this prior high. And then at that point, we're going to need to see better momentum. The daily chart on the S&P does not have great momentum. If you look at the diamonds chart, the DIA representing the Dow Jones, it has much stronger momentum conditions in place right now. Anyway, I wanted to make sure I covered that, and also just make sure I covered the idea that a simple break of a trend line is not an automatic sell point. All right, let's go through some individual stocks. I wanted to start with URI, United Rentals. The industrial sector has some of the best looking chart patterns right now. Look at what's going on a relative basis here. Do you see how this relative strength line is actually hitting an all-time high? This stock is so much stronger than the market right now. One of the ways you can see that is by looking at this pattern. We made a low here back in middle of the year of like June-ish, something like that. And then the S&P actually made a lower low. I talked about this last month on your Daily 5. Lower low in the S&P while this is making a higher low. We want to focus on the stocks that are doing that. And in this case, this made a significantly higher low and a higher high. Really attractive. And now it's coming out of this little consolidation pattern after working off a short-term overbought condition. So kind of interested in the way this is playing out. The other thing that I want to mention here is that we've also taken out the trend line. We came back and tested, and then we turned back to the upside. So we've completed that 1, 2, 3. It's not breaking a trend line. It's actually testing and then turning back up. We have a lot more confirmation of a reversal here, which I think is really attractive. Let's look at this UBSI. So this is a little bit different. But the same idea. So we've got this breakout pattern developing, and now we're getting a pullback on the weekly chart. There's some signs of decent momentum. Green DI, which is a sign of the buyers breaking out above all these highs of the last year, and MACD confirming the new move to the upside. Now, in this case, this is the one time, and you can learn this from my course, but this is the one time, this setup, where I would be interested in buying a trend line break, because MACD is showing a lot of strength and the ADX is very weak, meaning the sellers are not very strong during this ABC decline. So this is what I call, this would be trigger 1. There's 4 different types of triggers. This would be trigger 1. If it breaks through that trend line, I think that's an operative signal, especially based on what's taking place. Good overall characteristics and good relative characteristics sitting above a major support area after breaking out. Now, this one might surprise some people because this thing has been dead in the water for years and years. This is IBM. Yes, I am saying IBM. And one thing I'll tell you is we've been working with institutions for 32 years. And I know when I bring up a stock like this and they're all yawning, like they're literally yawning, like this is just a, there's nothing to it. But the chart has some really nice characteristics to it. Long ADX pattern like this. Really a good ADX crossing the 25 level with green DI showing strength now. And the reason why this cross is so important versus this one is that when we look at it from a long-term standpoint, we're taking out this key level at 150. Now, I'm going to add a caveat to this. I really want to see this finish the week on a strong note. We need to have this close, not just for the day, but for the week. I want to see this close the week on a strong note, preferably with improving volume characteristics. But I'd be willing to say if this can close strongly for the week near its highs, the way it's set up, that we have to respect this breakout. There's just too much improving here. Look at the momentum that's taking place on this chart. I mean, this is huge momentum characteristics on the ADX. So I'm pretty excited about what's developing here. And I'm also excited about the fact that no one really cares about this. And usually when stocks are showing signs of extreme improvement without anyone caring, that's usually a really good sign for the stock. All right, I want to finish with a consumer discretionary stock. And if you notice, we could go back through the individual stocks, but you can see, look at the difference. You see how this made a low here, and then this did make a minor new low here, but see how this is making higher bottoms, really? And the S&P all year has been making lower highs and lower lows. Look at this relative strength line. I mean, we have to respect this big base that's developed. Look at how this is breaking out of this huge area. We have low ADX. When we have low ADX, we look for breakouts. Now, we've got some improvement here with the move to the upside and then the pause. Now, the ADX is a lagging indicator, so we don't show extreme improvement in ADX on the weekly chart. That shows up on the daily chart first. You see how strong a reading? We got the blue line up to around 50. Anything above 25 shows that this has the potential to trend to the upside. And what ends up happening is you get momentum improvement on this time frame, and then it spills over to this time frame, and if it continues, it'll spill over into this time frame. So you always start with the lower time frame and look for improving momentum. A breakthrough 150 here, I think, would be a really good sign. I like the fact that this has been consolidating sideways. And again, this overall pattern relative to the market is really impressive. You can see the relative strength line, making higher highs and higher lows. So I just like the look of this. And the big base in all of these patterns, big base in IBM, big base in UBSI, URI is more of a reversal pattern, but still a really good look to it. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. You can contact me through LinkedIn, Twitter, or find my research on rabelstockresearch.com. In addition, if you'd like to learn more about trend, MACD, and ADX in multiple timeframes, I do have a trend and momentum trading course, which can be found at rabelstockresearch.com/services, which delves into this subject. Have a great trading day, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.